Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances of Guru Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to devotees to today's class. Today we are starting the beginning of a new chapter, chapter 18, and the chapter is entitled Maharaj Parikshit, cursed by the Brahmin boy. And I'm sorry, Maharaj.
Yeah, I'm going to do a different verse today.
Okay, Maharaj, which verse do you want to do, Maharaj?
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Okay, Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yeah, this is just a one-day thing. Then we'll go back to the series starting tomorrow. Adi-lila, chapter 1, verse 56.
Chapter 1, verse 2, Maharaj?
56.
56. Chapter 1.
One-day thing. I came across this verse and I thought it would be a very instructive verse for all of the devotees.
Is this it, Maharaj?
Yeah, there are
Okay.
many, this one especially.
All right, Maharaj. And it's all yours, Maharaj.
Okay. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakti Vrindam Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakti Vrindam Etavan Meva Jigyasyam Tattva Jigyasu Natmanaham Anvaya Vyati Rekebhyam Yat Sarvatra Sarvadam. A person interested in transcendental knowledge must therefore always, directly and indirectly, inquire about it to know the all-pervading truth. Read it again. A person interested in transcendental knowledge must therefore always directly and indirectly inquire about it to know the all-pervading truth. Those who are serious about the knowledge of the transcendental world, which is far beyond the material cosmic creation, must approach a bona fide spiritual master to learn the science both directly and indirectly. One must learn both the means to approach the desired destination and the hindrance to such progress. So that's directly and directly. The means and indirectly is the hindrances. The spiritual master knows how to regulate the habits of the neophyte disciple, and therefore a serious student must learn the science in all its aspects from him. So this next paragraph is very instructive. There are different grades of standards of prosperity. The standard of comfort and happiness conceived by a common man engaged in material labor is the lowest grade of happiness, what is in relationship with the body. The highest standard of such bodily comfort is achieved by a fruitive worker who by pious activities reaches the plane of heaven or the kingdom of the created gods with the delegated powers. By the conception of comfortable life in heaven is insignificant in comparison to the happiness enjoyed in the impersonal Brahman. And this Brahmanda, the spiritual bliss derived from impersonal Brahman, is like water in the hoof pit of a calf compared to the ocean of love of Godhead. When one develops pure love for the Lord, he derives an ocean of transcendental happiness from the association of the personality of Godhead. To qualify oneself to reach this stage of life is the highest perfection. So we're seeing in this particular paragraph different levels from the material to the basic spiritual, all the way up to the highest level, love of Godhead, different standards or grades of happiness. One should try to purchase a ticket to go back home, back to Godhead. The price of such ticket is one's intense desire for it, which is not easily awakened, even if one continuously performs pious activities for thousands of lives. All mundane relationships are sure to be broken in course of time, but once one establishes a relationship with the personality of Godhead in a particular rasa, it is never to be broken even after the annihilation of the material world. One should understand through the transparent biomedia of the spiritual master that the Supreme Lord exists everywhere in his transcendental spiritual nature, and that the living entity's relationship with the Lord are directly and indirectly existing everywhere, even in this material world. In this material world, there are 5 kinds of relationships with the Supreme Lord: neutrality, servitude, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. The perverted reflections of these rasas are found in the material world. Land, home, furniture, and other inert material objects are related in Shanta, or the neutral stage and silent sense, whereas servants work in the Dasya relationship. Reciprocation between friends is called Sakya, the affection of a parent for a child, is known as Vatsalya, and the affairs of conjugal love constitute Madhurya. These 5 relationships in the material world are distorted reflections of the original pure sentiments, which should be understood and perfected in relationship to the Supreme Personality of Godhead under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. In the material world, the perverted reflections bring frustration. Even if these rasas are reestablished with the Lord, the result is eternal, blissful life. From this and the preceding 3 verses of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have been selected from Srimad Bhagavatam. The missionary activities of Lord Chaitanya can be understood. Srimad Bhagavatam has 18,000 verses, which are summarized in 4 verses, beginning with Aham Esam Evagre, and concluding with this verse, which is Yat Sat Sarvatra Sarvada. In the first of these verses, the transcendental nature of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is explained. The second verse further explains that the Lord is detached from the workings of the material energy Maya. The living entities, although parts and parcels of the Lord, are prone to be controlled by the external energy. Therefore, although they are spiritual, in the material world, they are encased in bodies of material energy. The eternal relationship of the living entities with the Supreme Lord is explained in this verse. The next verse, 55, instructs us that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his inconceivable energy, is simultaneously one with and different from the living entities in the material world. This knowledge is called Achintya Beta Beta Tattva. When a individual living entity surrenders to the Supreme Lord Krishna, he can then develop natural transcendental love for him. The surrendering process should be the primary concern of a human being. In this next verse, it is said that the conditioned soul must ultimately approach a bona fide spiritual master and try to understand perfectly the material and spiritual worlds in his own existential position. Here the words Anvaya Vyatirekabhyam, directly and indirectly, suggest that one must learn the process of devotional service in 2 aspects. One must directly execute the process of devotional service and indirectly avoid the impediments to progress. Om Gyan Timbadandasya Jana Jana Silakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadammayam Tadasi Swapadatam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Prastyatya Desatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhischa Vipa Sindhu Payevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So there are 2 realms of existence, actually 3. There is Haridam, Devidam, and Maheshdam. Devidam is this material world, which consists of the different universes, which are innumerable in number. Koti means million. There are millions and millions and millions of universes, and there are millions of planets within these universes. And on each planet, there is life of some sort, some higher materially, some lower, and some in between. And this contains a small, tiny fraction of the existence of all of existence. This material world is just like a little tiny portion of the whole creation and manifestation of God, not the creation, but the manifestation. Above that, there is Maheshtam. It's the abode of Lord Shiva, where he lives on his planet, Kailash, and there are also many realms of existence in there. Also, there's a light side, there's a dark side to that. There's a very dark side, and there's a very light side. Shiva lives in the topmost part of this section, and higher than that, you come into the Brahma Jyoti, which is the effulgence of the spiritual world. And then you move closer to the Vaikuntha realms, where there are countless planets with countless living entities on these planets. And each of the planet is governed by a particular form of the Lord, as mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in chapter number 20 from Adi-lila. It's described some of them, not all of them, but the main ones. And then you have higher realms of existence. You have the planet of Lord Shringadev. You have the planet of Lord Ram, which is the highest manifestation. Then beyond that, there is the realm of Goloka Vrindavan, which is the topmost existence in existence. And there is 3 sections to that planet. The main and largest section is Vrindavan, where Krishna performs his pastimes with his eternal associates in loving, based on these 5 rasas that were mentioned here: neutrality, servitude, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. Another part of that planet is that those who worship Krishna as the Supreme Lord in the mood of Vrindavan. It's a very smaller section, but there is a section of that planet where Krishna is worshipped as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but still in the realm of Vrindavan. It's a certain section of Vrindavan where Krishna is known as God. And then there's another section where Lord Chaitanya's section is. There's where Lord Chaitanya and all his eternal associates reside in Harinam Sankirtan. And that is another aspect of the 3 parts of the highest planet, Goloka Vrindavan. So the spiritual world, along with the material world, is quite diverse and variegated. No one can know, it's not possible for anyone to know even a small portion of what goes on in these different realms of existence. So the living entities exist in the material world on different levels, and one is placed in a particular realm according to their activities in the material world, and they're given a particular body on a certain planet, which has a certain karmic collection, which is conducive to the, you might say, the mentality of a certain level of karma are born on that planet. So here on this Earth planet, this is called one of the middle planets. There are 7 planets up, 7 planets down. The 7 planets that are up, the lowest 2 are, or actually the lowest one is the Earth planet. It's not an upper planet, it's considered a middle planet, but it's described as being part of the 7 upper planets. So in these 14 planetary systems, there are countless human living entities in different forms, mostly human forms, but in the varieties of human forms with different types of powers and different types of positions. And it's quite variegated. You can study that. It's mentioned in the 15th chapter of Bhagavatam, in the 3rd canto, 15th chapter, the different realms of existence. And well, actually, that's the different realms of the Vaikuntha realm. In another section, it also talks about the material realm. But the material realm is not given so much importance because it's considered to be what we call it, it's Devi Dham. It's the abode of Lord, it's the abode of Durga Devi. She rules the material world, and she is an expansion of the external energy, Maya. She is the personification of Maya, like that. And she has different forms which she relates to in different living entities according to their activities within the realm of material existence. So it gets a little, it gets really, really diverse. If you study this, you'll find it's a lifetime worth of study, and then you can just scratch the surface, that's all. But here we are in the material world, and we don't belong here. See, that's the problem. Material world, the word is, the material world is called Durga. And Durga actually means fort. Durga means fort. But the word Durga also is divided into another meaning. Dur means difficult, and Ga means to go. It's a difficult place to get out. Just like if you're locked into a jail, you find you're restricted, and at the same time you can't get out. That's the material world. We are restricted here because we are forced to accept temporary life in a body that is also temporary and full of miseries. And we struggle. Most of our time we're struggling just to find a little bit of relief from the suffering of the material world. And of course, this is all done in proportion to the different levels of material existence from the highest planet to the lowest. But Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, from the highest planet to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. So one is forced to accept changing of bodies constantly, which is what we say contrary to one's existence. The living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. That means it has the same quality of the same Lord, but in a smaller quantity. So that quality is that we are pure spirit, and Krishna is the supreme source. He is also pure spirit. And though we are in this material world and we are undergoing material laws, which are completely contrary to our actual existence, so we're in a foreign place. It's like being in jail. And then the analogy actually fits very good, because in jail, you are limited. You are not freed, and you're forced to accept all kinds of activities and requirements in order to, what we say, be a good citizen within the jail. But still, it's still a jail. And so one can move from different cells, and these mentions here that there's different cells, there's different levels for the common man, for the persons in the higher planets, to the fruit of workers, to those who taste a little bit of spiritual happiness in the form of impersonal Brahman. But all of these are relegated in different proportions, but they are not really enough to satisfy the soul, because the soul is pure, and the soul has natural love for God, which is unlimited and eternal. And unlimited means there's no limit to the happiness that one is meant to experience in relationship to its natural position in relationship to the Supreme Lord. And so the process to reawaken that and to also move away from this material existence back into the spiritual realm, because the spiritual realm is the realm of pure love, pure knowledge, and natural existence. We are not meant to live in a jail. Like if you're put in a jail, you think, oh my God, what happened? Now I'm in jail. I can't do anything. I'm suffering. I'm being controlled. I'm also being punished and forced to work according to the way the jail is dictating my work. Same thing. And the different bodies we have in the material world are different uniforms in the jail. Just like when you go to a jail, they give you a uniform, which indicates that you're in the jail. So we have different types of bodies. They're all human bodies, or at least some of them are human. And then these bodies are just, they're just identifications of persons who are in the jail. And so now there's a way out. The governor sometimes comes into the jail, and he can show some special mercy to some of the prisoners by allowing them to get some kind of pardon where they can get out of the jail and actually live a real happy and fulfilling life. And that is the spiritual master. So the spiritual master is the representative of the Lord who comes on behalf of the Lord to free the imprisoned living entities in this material world. But here it says that the price of that ticket to get out of this material world, and it's available, is that one has to be really want it more than anything else. It's an intense desire for it. But once one connects with the spiritual master, who is the person who guides us philosophically and practically, not only philosophically, but gives us practical understandings how to live life in such a way that we can practice that knowledge by which we can elevate our consciousness back to the spiritual world. And that relationship that we have with Krishna is always there. It's never lost. But it's like sometimes in a dream, a devotee who is practicing Krishna consciousness, or even sometimes even for non-devotees, they'll experience some transcendental experience in the dream. They'll see God, they'll see the spiritual master. They'll have an experience of happiness in the dream that is way beyond their happiness in their waking existence. I was just talking to one devotee who was telling me he had such a dream. It was a whole different realm of existence and way beyond, and the joy was unlimited. So sometimes we cut through all of this, what we say, restrictions that come by way of living in this material world. There's a little bit of light that comes by reminding us who we are and where we're supposed to be and how we can also get there. So this world that we're living in is not a place where you can find happiness or what we say permanency. And that's why Krishna mentions that in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, even if you go to the higher planets where life is much longer in terms of the body you have, there's much more happiness based on, well, you might say there is less misery there. There's hardly any misery, but still one has to die, because any realm in the material existence is also within the realm of temporality. So no one can stay there. And if you get a nice position and you're enjoying for a little while, and you're thinking I'm all right, and then all of a sudden you find yourself out of that position, the suffering is immense. It's immense. That's why sometimes they say a person who was never rich, never experiences the unhappiness of being poor. Not so much. There is some unhappiness. But a person who is rich and then becomes poor, they really suffer more than a person who's never had the opportunity to taste the success of, when we say, material riches. So in the same way, because we forgot, we might use the word forgot, or we can't remember, that's a better word. We can't remember who we are and what is our realm of existence that is eternal and full of knowledge. We read about it in books. We hear about it from saintly persons. but our experience is so far away from our reality. But those experiences can gradually manifest themselves in increments until we actually reach back to our natural consciousness, which is pure love for God. And that pure love is not something you have to read books about or have to, be born in a certain material situation to achieve. It's there. Nitya Siddha, Krishna Prema, Saru Kambonoi, Sravanari Siddhi, Chitte Koriye Udoy. It's in the hearts of all living beings, even those living entities who are below human forms, who have bodies who cannot realize their spiritual nature, but still, it's still there in their existence. Even the ant is a pure spirit soul who has love for God. But in that ant body, he can't taste it, no matter how much opportunities he gets from outside, he can never taste it. But in the human form of life, we can taste it. So in that human form of life, we also have to understand that to get to the form of a human being is very, very rare. There's a nice verse that talks about different levels of existence. And then you go from the lowest to the highest in different types of existence. And so the humans are in a good position, at least in the middle planets, to go back home, back to Godhead. In the higher planets, well, even though they have better bodies and better material happiness, they sometimes, not sometimes, they do get intoxicated with that type of happiness, and they don't see the importance of striving for self-realization. And those in the lower planets where there is more suffering and difficulty, they're struggling just to overcome the suffering, and they can't really practice. So those who were born on the middle planets, they have a good opportunity. So that's a special birth. It's not something that comes automatically. And even in the middle planetary births, there are different gradations of living beings who have higher or lower consciousness based on their pious activities that have accumulated for life after life. So some have just come to the human form of life, and others have been in the human form of life for many lives. And there's others who have perfected the best part of the human form of life in the sense of material success, where they're in the mode of goodness. So even within the realm of human, there is so many gradations of consciousness based on previous activities in the material world. But in all cases, it's temporary, and Krishna doesn't give it any credit. He says it's also misery, because even if you're in the jail cell and you're like a privileged prisoner, you can walk around the jail. You may even have keys to many of the locks in the jail. You may also be able to control some of the other inmates there. You might have some position, but you're still in the jail. So you're still in the jail, and therefore there is still that limitation of happiness and restriction, and about eventually having to leave that situation and be born again in another situation. So this is therefore one should take this process of spiritual life as foremost, because it is the only success that one can achieve in life. Whatever material success we get, if we have a nice wife or a husband, big family, some riches and some material amenities to surround us, all of these things cannot give the soul real happiness. It may give some stimulation to the mind and senses, but even that is lost in due course of time. And therefore, as we were speaking yesterday, fear is a concomitant characteristic of the material world. Everyone lives in fear, because fear means I got to leave my situation, or I can't really fulfill my desires to my utmost desire. So we're always in a very marginal situation in this world. So therefore, one should think, why waste time trying to perfect this life in different ways? Go back home, back to Godhead. And that is available, especially it's more easily available at the present time by the presence of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He has made it more easier than it has been in the past. In previous ages, it was very difficult. One had to have many good material qualities and also a lot of pious activities. And the process was a much more, what we say, difficult. But in this age, Lord Chaitanya has made it easy. Chant. He said, develop your taste for chanting the holy names of the Lord. Chant the holy names as much as possible. 16 rounds. Sometimes we think 16 rounds is just what we should do. But that is not the instructions of the spiritual master, nor the scriptures. 16 rounds was given as a minimum for a particular time and place. That's all. Actually, when Srila Prabhupada introduced Krishna consciousness initially, he said 64 rounds, but devotees found that too much overwhelming, not possible, too many other things to do. So in a discussion, it was relegated to 16 rounds, like that. And that's the minimum. And that's nothing. That's only 2 hours out of 24, maybe 2.5 for some of us. That's an insignificant amount of time. That's 1/12 of the day. So, but the principle is to develop namruchi, or a taste for chanting. And therefore, the taste for chanting comes with association with devotees. This is where the taste develops. When we associate with and perform the activities of devotional service, which include other activities such as hearing and reading Srimad Bhagavatam, worshiping the Lord and his deity form, and visiting holy places from time to time, and even living in a holy place. All of these activities make up the process of devotional service. And there are many others, of course, taking Krishna Prasadam. These are all spiritual activities that purify the mind and heart and elevate the consciousness to higher and higher realms of happiness. And this is Krishna consciousness. So Lord Chaitanya is very merciful. And he said, associate with and serve devotees, chant the holy names, and whenever you find the opportunity, share what you have with others. In other words, we call it preaching, reaching, teaching, doing different things to benefit the others, just like it says in the Christian tradition, one should love God with all their heart, with all their soul, with all their might. And the second commandment in the listing of the 10 commandments in the Christian tradition is to love your neighbor as yourself. So what does that mean, to love your neighbor as yourself? That means whatever good you find in life, share it with your friends, relatives, and others. That is what it means. So to give this mercy to others is the complete process of devotional service. It's called Jiva Doya. And one who practices these three things will gradually attain the special mercy of the Lord and eventually elevate themselves to the position of pure consciousness. Now, this is available. One should never think, because of one's body or material position, that one is limited in any way. as it says, Kirata hunam palinda pukasa sambira abba kasyadaya yaneja papa upasrayasraya sudanti prabhavishnave namaha. And that in this verse, it lists these different tribes in different places around the world who are below the Varnashram system. Some of them are uncivilized, but even if they come and take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, they can also achieve perfection in life. So the process is, and this is the special mercy in with the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. With the appearance of Lord Chaitanya in this age came a lot of extra mercy that was not available previously. In fact, in other ages, it was extremely difficult to attain Goloka Vrindavan, practically impossible. That realm is not easy to, but Lord Chaitanya has broken open the storehouse of love of God, and he's distributing Radha Krishna Prem, which is Vrindavan, to anyone and everyone. The mercy is so profuse that those who are actually fixed in transcendental understanding are amazed to experience the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. It's way beyond any form of mercy given by the Supreme Lord at any time in the past. Only when Lord Chaitanya comes is this realm of Vrindavan Dham becomes more accessible to the struggling conditioned souls. So take this process very seriously and don't waste time in this material world. We should always be thinking, what can I stop doing that I'm wasting time with? And what can I do to bring myself closer and closer to that life of eternal knowledge and bliss? It's available. Okay, so I'll stop there. This is a very interesting verse and purport. Of course, this last verse that was mentioned here out of the 4 nutshell verses, which is coming from the Bhagavatam in the 2nd canto, it describes, is given this particular purport here. This is a paraphrase of the last of the 4 verses that are mentioned in the 2nd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Mars, thank you so much for a wonderful class. As you said, it's really, really, really deep. And I'm hoping there's going to be questions because it's very, very nice class. I'm going to stop sharing. And I request devotees to please, if you're able to turn on your videos wherever you're at to ask a question. And if you have a question, please do raise your hand and I will call, in the order that the hand was raised. Maharaj, one question that I had from the verse, Sridevi, you got me. Go ahead. You're ahead of me.
Well, why don't you go ahead? I can wait.
Okay, thank you, Mother. Maharaj, when you were reading the verse, the purport, the one question that caught my attention is where it says that one should have the intense desire when even though it's not awakened. So how, Maharaj, can we awaken that intense desire?
Sarusanga, sarvasastri hoy, lavamatta, sarusange, sarvasiddhi hoy. By associating with and hearing from devotees who are fixed in the process of bhakti. And there's where the awakening comes. That verse, lavamata means 1/11th of a second. That means if one is in the right consciousness, and as one is hearing from a great soul, at one particular 11th of a second, Second, one can be completely purified from all material reactions and material desires. Very powerful, because it cuts through the layers of our material contamination, and it goes right to the soul. But it requires a certain consciousness. Just being with great souls doesn't mean you're going to get that lavamata of awakening. You have to be in the right consciousness. So how do you get into the right consciousness? There you go. The question is continuous association and hearing from will bring about that. When Prabhupada was asked that same question, he quoted this verse, and devotees responded by saying, but Prabhupada, we've been associating with you, hearing from you, and we're not there yet. So what does it mean? It sounds like a contradiction. Prabhupada said, and he used an analogy to give the answer. He said, when the wood is wet, it doesn't ignite. So the drying process is the continuous association and hearing. And at one point will dry out, and then all of a sudden that'll happen. It'll happen just within 1/11th of a second. So that hearing from, and of course, hearing from means to follow. So you don't just hear and go away and then keep hearing. Of course, the hearing process alone is very powerful. I mean, Maharaj Parikshit became fully realized simply by hearing from Sukadeva Goswami. So it is powerful. But in our situation, we need to perform activities, because we are so inclined to perform material activities, we have to start performing activities that are transcendental or purified activities, because of our tendency to perform activities. So we have to serve the Lord according to the directions as given by the great souls, like that. And that's very easy. Spiritual master doesn't make it difficult, but he makes it clear that this is what's needed.
Thank you, Marge, and thank you for sharing that analogy of the wood. Yeah, the drying process takes a while, I think.
That's why we're having classes every day. We're hoping that we're getting some dry behind the ears there. They're dry within the ears.
And slowly behind the neck and all the way down.
We keep passing the towels though.
Yes, Marge. Yeah, and then we're gonna dry the towels and then again dry it ourselves and again dry the towels.
The idea is not to, as it says here, directly and indirectly. This is a point made in this verse, that the indirect is to avoid those things that again bring you back to material contamination. So we have to be very much aware of what they are and how to avoid them.
Thank you, Marge. That line really caught my attention in the purport. Thank you. Sridevi, it's all yours.
Thank you. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to your holiness. I think in today's class, what really strikes me is all the things we need to stringently avoid. Many of the things you have told us, Guru Maharaj, what to do, but the things to avoid is something that maybe we are not even aware of, how we are wasting time, how we are not focusing, etc. So
Okay.
my question
Yeah,
is,
Anasuya, go to Nectar of Instructions,
Yes, Marge.
verse number 2.
Okay. Nectar. Okay, there it is. Verse number 2. And I have
Amrita verse number 2.
Is it visible, Maharaj?
Atyahara priyasas cha prajalpaniyamagraha janasangas chalayam cha sadbir bhaktir vinashati. Translation. Someone read it?
Sure, Maharaj. I can read it. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. 1, eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. Over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness and being greedy for mundane achievements.
Yeah. So Rupa Goswami, but he's our Prayojana. He's our Abhideya. He teaches the process of bhakti. So he has analyzed the science of bhakti, and he's come up with these 6 foundational activities which take away one's Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada's purport, of course, is quite long. But there is a book, it's called Bhakti-loka. It's by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He takes this verse and the following verse, we can read the following verse also. And he takes each of the 6 items in each of the 2 verses, and he breaks them down into finer and final aspects of each one. So you get an understanding. So this is here's the next verse is the follow-up.
There are 6 principles of There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service: being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service.
So in one verse, he gives you the restrictions. In this verse, he gives you the positive activities. So, and each one of these requires some further discussion on each one to help us go in a more clear and practical understanding of how these things relate in the day-to-day life. And you'll see number 5 is the same in both, abandoning the association of non-devotees and avoiding the association of materialist people from the previous one. They're similar, but slightly different. So yeah, so these are these 12. If you learn these 12, I would recommend you get that book by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. I do a seminar on that book. And we take each one of these principles and discuss it. Just for an example, in the previous verse, it talks about talking about mundane things. Now, there are 9 categories of different kinds of mundane talk. So then you have to understand, well, what are the 9 different categories? And then he qualifies them too, because in grihastha life, some mundane talk is required in order to keep the household together. But that's not allowed for brahmacharya or sannyas life. So all of this requires some discussion. It's a very Nectar Instructions is a great little 11 verses. That's all it is. It really sums up the whole process of bhakti, all the way up to perfection. Each verse is monumental. It's so direct and powerful. Anyway, I just wanted to bring up these two verses so you could get an idea of the pillars of irreligion and the pillars of religion. So you can see both of them side by side.
Hope that helped, Sridevi.
Yes, thank you very much, Guru Maharaj.
That's just a start. Now you have to go and investigate further.
Guru Maharaj, if you'll kindly permit me to just go a little deeper into this. I like to chant. In fact, I like to chant extra rounds. But I'm now concerned that that time I could be using for service. And my mentor also was asking me, once your practice picks up, do you think you can really do this? Maybe you should think, of coming down to a practical number that's doable for you. So I was just going to actually write to ask, how should one regulate one's activities so that one is giving optimal amount of time to chanting as well as service?
Well, she's talking about what may come up in the future, and therefore you may find yourself, stretched for getting a balance between the two. But right now, continue to do that. And when the future comes, when it becomes the present, then you can adjust.
Okay, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Don't live in the future now. Stay where you are now. And then when you see how things, if you're getting more clients, more opportunities for service, then you can adjust.
Very nice. Thank you, Marge. Any questions from devotee? Please do raise your hand. It's a very, very deep topic. Yes, Amritanam, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So wonderfully you mentioned about the Bhakti Loka and the verse which the last you mentioned, 118.3, which also tells about over-endeavoring, prayas. So can you elaborate a little? Because many times we stuck here where endeavor is needed, we over-endeavor in certain things. So where should we stop actually?
Well, you have to see. Living in a household life, you need certain things. So make it in such a way that you can easily get the things you need and get the amounts of resources where you can acquire these things. But it's not like you have to get more and more and more. Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur will give an example. He says, you need to distribute, you're out there and you're distributing, or you're preaching and you're distributing books. So you need to make some efforts to get some books. So that's required. That's not over-endeavoring. But then that's not mundane either, over-endeavoring for mundane things. So people work hard trying to get this, that. We become victimized by the materialist society who is always advertising various amenities that we should have as part of our household life or have part of our social life. So, and people go for them and they work hard. They have to get more money, get another job sometimes to follow these different attractions that are thrown to them by the society. When it comes down to it, what do you need to live? What do we actually need to live? One, you need food. Two, you need clothing. Three, you need shelter. Shelter includes maybe family life. So all of that is a requirement. Beyond that, what do you need? For recreation, you have the Krishna conscious activities, singing, dancing, various types of activities that we do, which are also quite recreational. So, but if we want to live in a big palatial building and we want to have servants and we want all kinds of amenities around, and we have a nice watch that works, but someone else says that you have to have a better watch that has a calendar on it, has the amount of steps you take, so how many steps you take every day, so you can calculate that. So they're always coming up with new and more complicated and more sophisticated things that are basic things, I don't even have a watch. I never wear a watch. I just look at my phone and it's there. There's clocks in the room. And if I don't have either one, I ask somebody, what time is it? The ladies need jewelry that we can't, that's a necessity. Ladies like jewelry. And to take that away from ladies is like a traumatic experience. The ladies should have jewelry. That's nice. You should wear nice earrings, maybe some nice brooch on the neck, like that. Some bangles and some, things that are decorative. Women should look nice. They can be decorated.
On that note, Guru Maharaj, why is it so much necessary to it's like a rule for a woman to look nice? I mean, I'm happy with tulsi beads, but a grihastha life demands so much. You should put sindoor, you should put this, you should put that, bangles and all. I am not fan of all that things, but grihastha life really demands all that.
Well, now not really. If you don't want it, that's fine.
Some
Thank you,
ladies
Marge,
are
for
not,
saying that's fine.
yes, because some ladies are just not inclined like that, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Never, ever interested in dolling up, dressing up. I was more like, come on, what's the next thing to do? So I think Amrita Nam is the same.
And I am the same. I just don't like jewelry.
Good.
It's a pain.
Good. That's why you joined the Hare Krishna movement. You cannot wear jewelry and be normal.
Marge, when you mention watch, I haven't worn a watch for 30 years because it just falls off my wrist.
Yeah, and that's special mercy.
Yeah, I'm so happy because it's a less added weight on my wrist. I never liked wearing watches.
And people, the wristwatch covers half the arm, it's like.
Actually,
Oh.
Guru Maharaj, I think all devotees, once we become Hare Krishnas, we are more interested in seeing the jewelry on the deities rather than on ourselves or each other. We lose all that interest.
Now you
And it is-
actually got to the point. Prabhupada said, if you dress Krishna nicely, you won't desire to dress yourself nicely. If you feed Krishna very nicely, you won't desire so many varieties. You'll be happy to whatever Krishna serves you. So, even if you like opulent prasadam, offer it to Krishna with devotion.
That adds up the equation, Maharaj. So that explains that. Oh, I like that.
Mhm. Yeah, so simplicity is there both within the mind and within the body. It starts in the mind and then it manifests in our day-to-day life. One should study the principle of what simplicity really means. If you really want to go back to the essence of what Srila Prabhupada's given us, he's been speaking ever since he began the movement in the 1960s about a more simplified lifestyle, which frees us from all of the encumbrances of the material energy. He's showing us that God has provided everything for the living entity to live nicely and happily. Your happiness is your Krishna consciousness, not by nobody's happy by material arrangements. If it is, it's a sense of false happiness that simply titillates the mind and makes one think they're okay, but it's not real. It's just some false sense of happiness. Real happiness is the soul's relationship with the Supreme Soul. Real happiness is relationships. When you have relationships, you're happy. And so in the material world, people are trying to have relationships, but people have material desires. So they bring their material desires into the relationship, and that's sort of minimizes the quality of that relationship. So a devotee doesn't have material desires, therefore they can develop relationships nicely and normally and satisfyingly. Because they don't put any expectations on others.
Very good points, Mars. Thank you. This is like a lot of food for thought for us. Thank you. Krishna Kaviraj Prabhu, go ahead.
Thank you. My humble obeisances, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you, all glories to all devotees. Guru Maharaj, I have a question on chanting rounds. I always used to hear, people always used to tell me in the past that whatever number of rounds you're chanting, you stick to that every day and don't reduce. But providing we're doing a minimum, say a minimum of 16 rounds, and say on a Monday we find an extra 1 hour to chant, and we might do, I don't know, say 25, but then on another day we don't have the extra time, so we only do 16. And then the next day might be Ekadashi and we might do 32. So is it okay for the additional rounds to go up and down depending on how much extra time we find to chant?
Yeah, that's fine. You can always go above, but never go below the standard.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
fine. And but people also have a tendency to want to chant more rounds, and to be able to do that, they make a vow that I'm going to chant now 20 rounds a day and not 16. So then if they set that vow, then they should also stick to that. So if you're going to increase your vow, your minimum vow is 16, then you should be able to understand that I have to also keep it. But if you don't keep it, it's not an offense, but it's not recommended to do that, to make a vow and then break it. If you want to just chant more, you can do that anytime. And then there's no restrictions, and there's no offenses if you don't. But then again, if we practice chanting always, even when we're off the beads, then it's nice. You can chant 16 rounds on beads and chant 16 rounds off the beads. There's no restriction. You can chant anytime, any place, anywhere.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you for clarifying.
Nice question, Prabhu. Thank you. Any questions from devotees that you would like to ask? Please do raise your hand. Gonna go down the list to make sure that I don't miss anyone. If there isn't, Marge, would you like to end with a round of chanting, Marge?
Yeah. Mhm. I just want to make announcements to
Yes, Marge, please.
two people who I see online. Revati, did you get my email?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Guru Maharaj, I just saw email like just before class.
Okay.
I'll resend it. Yeah, sure. I'll look.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
And Shakshi,
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
are you the same Shakshi who has a friend called Manisha and Shreya?
Yes, yes, Maharaj.
Oh, okay, thank you. I was reading your little gift you gave to me. It's called Memories of Srila Prabhupada today. That was so beautiful.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. I'm glad you liked it.
Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, where's your friends? I don't see them. You're the only one. You guys were inseparable when I saw you in Indore and in Ujjain.
Yes, Maharaj. Manisha Mataji, she comes in the class, but I think she's not present today. And Shreya Mataji, she was not well, so she went back to her hometown.
Oh, okay. Anyway, tell them I offer my what we say, gratefulness for all of their kindness and all of the nice gifts that we've received.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Mhm. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindam, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare 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 Ram Ram Ram, Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. 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 Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. 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 Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna, Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope to see you all tomorrow. We'll continue with Srimad Bhagavatam, 18th chapter, the first canto.
Thank you so much, Man, for such a wonderful class. And we thank all the devotees for joining us. Vanchakaptibhyascha, Kripasindhabhevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. His Holiness Candramauli Swami Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guru.
Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. What a fantastic class.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Thank you for the class.
Hare Krishna.
That's fantastic.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Amrit.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Leave.
Thank you, Ansuya Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Haribol.
Thank you, Anusuya. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.